What brought me to the field of grief and bereavement? Wow. Um, I don't think any of us are brought to the field of grief and bereavement by accident. I often think we've experienced something that has brought us to this field with great passion. For myself, um, learning about Bond Bereavement Ontario Network, I'm going to go back like 25 years ago. And I was really on a journey. Um, as a young girl at the age of 14, my only brother Robert fell over the Niagara Falls Gorge to his death. He was 19, I was 14. 6 months later, after Robert's death, I was at the hospital for sick kids. They had thought I had bone cancer in my right leg. And when I woke up from surgery, I remember Dr. McIntyre looking at me and he had coined me Sunshine. And he said, I don't know what's going on, Sunshine. He goes, but if you don't talk about what's inside of you, your body will not be able to function as well as it can function. And you need to talk about what's inside of you. And I went on after that to high school and I struggled. I really did. So, what brought me to grief and bereavement was when I was 14 years old, experiencing the death of a loved one. And then 25 years ago, um, I just realized I could no longer live in the bottle I placed myself in. I was with my grandmother, and before she died of a massive stroke, she said, I'll say hello to your brother, Robert. And her last words to me were, it's time to wake up, Chrissy. That sent me on this whirlwind of writing a book called Where's Robert? And I remember when I published Where's Robert, it came with a memory box, memory journal, Crayola crayons, um, and it was really a personal plight. But by that time, I had actually been talking to a lady, Maria Rugg, actually, and she worked at hospital for sick kids, and she had placed an order for a lot of Where's Robert grief kits. And I could see that she had the same passion I had. I soon went on to meet Laurie Baines, who um, also showed me this world called Bereavement Ontario Network, Bond for short, that was a collection of people with passion for the same thing I had. And it really showed me how grief saw no difference. Diversity, ethnicity, all of it was here at Bond. And I wanted to be part of that. During that journey, on September 11th, terrorist attacks on the trade towers and the Pentagon happened. And this was very, very early on in my career, like I think maybe 2 years in. And I received a phone call from the Walter Reed Medical Center and the Grief Resource Center in New York City. And they asked to order over 6,000 copies of Where's Robert? It was kind of like my life exploded. I then all of a sudden was all over the news. I was really just saying, I'm a young girl from Canada who just wrote a book. And I realized the impact of my story. I realized that um, I had something to share with others. And really, that was the start of my career. Um, yeah, everybody has a story, and everyone's story matters. It's something we should share with each other. So during my time over the last 25 years and being involved with Bereavement Ontario Network, Um, it's unbelievable, to be honest. It's like a family. I since then incorporated. I now am the owner of Roberts Press, Canada's Grief Resource Center. We distribute over 500 books, resources. Since then, I have written five or six more books. I've come out with an empathy crying teddy bear, the memory heart, um, and it's all been with like that sibling next to me. BON has always kind of been there. I remember the first retreats we went to. Oh, so many fun times around the fire. Being able to put some of your skills to work by doing presentations and sharing new projects you were working on. Um, and then always having this person in the back that you could kind of reach out to. Um, One of the questions that you asked was, what does an average day look like for me? Well, now, 25 years ago, or 25 years ahead of time, or now, my average day is pretty busy. I've had a lot of guests on my new podcast called Grief Uprooted, and that's been absolutely so fun. A lot of the members, and I've actually introduced new members to Bereavement Ontario Network who are coming on to share their grief stories and what they've created in the field and what they have to offer. So that's been super, super fun. We actually started a new segment called Grief Unfiltered. And that's where sometimes we just want to let our hair down and talk about grief. We want to talk about all the forms of grief, the diversity in grief. How do we move forward in grief? And what does that encompass? So, Bond has been a huge supporter in the sense of allowing me to share my message through their monthly newsletters, having that connection, having that ability to call up another member who now is, who gets me, who's passionate about grief and bereavement like me, and talk some ideas out and to support each other. So, an average day is waking up and fulfilling orders. I'm a professional speaker also. And so, a lot of times I'm traveling and speaking on grief and bereavement. Days that I absolutely love, those are the days I get to stay home and put my hair in a ponytail and record an episode of Grief Uprooted. I feel like I am talking to a friend and we can discuss grief and bereavement. Is there any advice that I would give somebody interested in doing what I do? Hmm. Follow your gut. I think that would be my best advice as somebody who owns a corporation and actively runs it, but also has that emotional connection to grief and bereavement. I think following my gut instinct really has helped me. Um, One of the things I do love about Bond is those educational parts where what's trending in the field, what is the lingo that we maybe want to use. And it kind of keeps you really updated on that. Um, but I really find just kind of feeling where you fit. Um, and I think I really struggled with that in the beginning because I was like, where do I fit in this? Um, what is my mission or goal in the field of grief and bereavement? And I remember when I found that, and I was overjoyed. My position is to spread a message that we grieve because we love, and grief sees no difference. It really doesn't. It hits all of us. And Bond really encompasses that. And it gives you that space to be who you are. So I really think my advice for somebody interested in going into grief and bereavement, become a member of Bond. I think that would be your first step, and it's simple. But I think you would then meet people who are already there. You would be able to see different paths that you can take while you take this journey. Robert's Press is everything is done with heart, everything is done with that gut instinct, um, that we're well aware that grief hits everyone. And that message and passion is very, very strong. So my advice would be to join Bond, explore, meet people, come out to conferences. I think that would be an excellent first step to really see where you fit and make friends along the way. Um, what aspects of my work is meaningful and purposeful? Um, that's a loaded question. Um, all of it, really. I hate paperwork. Gonna say that, but I have amazing support system around me. And I think if I was to choose one, it would be creating new products. I really find that um, we create dignity, memorial, empathy, teddy bears. And I know when I started to create this little guy, um, I loved the challenge of thinking about what would children need if they were at a funeral and if they were struggling. Um, so I really enjoy that creation part. The memory heart we just came out with for um, people who donate their organs for the family members to have a piece of their loved one. It's two hearts within each other. I find it very meaningful to be able to create products that people are not just reading, they are feeling. It is helping them on this journey through grief. Another part, grief uprooted. Wow. Like, I never thought starting this podcast a year and a half ago that I would meet so many amazing people with such diverse stories and from all over the world. Um, that's what's so amazing about that. And hearing their journeys of how their grief impacted them, but also how they did a complete 180 and changed their lives. They wrote books, they changed careers, they went back to school. Um, Grief and love can impact us in such immense ways. And I think that's why I love my industry so much. It changes people. And with the unity of bond, um, you're not walking that path alone. You're really not. You're part of a family. You're part of a diverse family that's not afraid to talk about something, to bring it up, to explore it, to fight in for something that we believe should be taught in our school systems, should be collaboratively working together um, to educate the generation coming. We've come a long way. I've had that conversation with so many members of Bond for when we started 25 years ago. And, one of my most amazing memories of being at a Bereavement Ontario Network conference. And I was the keynote speaker. And I was sitting on the couch. And I sat down next to a gentleman called Joshua. And Joshua started to talk away about he was in university. And he started to talk about one of the programs, Hugs, helping children understand grief sessions. And I looked at him and I said, "What do you think of it?" And he was like, "I love it. I really do." And he started to talk about the author. And I giggled when I went, "I'm the author of that." And Joshua looked at me and it was just so amazing to see what I created 25 years ago, really what we all created 25 years ago. Um, these kids were talking about it and they were reading it. They were going, "Hey, who started this journey?" Um, so yeah, it's amazing to be part of something where we kind of trailblazed this grief and bereavement. And I think we did a really good job. I really do. And I think that it will only continue. It's been a huge honor to be part of an organization that has brought bereavement and grief to the forefront. And we should be proud of ourselves. Really, we should. I would love to hear your stories of what brought you to Bond. What made this special for you? I know you have them because we all do from our retreats and our education and our Zoom meetings. Um, it's part of who we are in this career. So if you want to go into grief and bereavement, your first step, become a member of Bereavement Ontario Network. You won't regret it.